Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're making one of my favorite meals, which is fried fish soup. I live in a fishing community, so I usually get a lot of fish at a cheaper price and I store it in my refrigerator, no, my freezer actually. And so I start off by cutting my fish into the sizes that I'd like, and then I season it with some black pepper, white pepper, which is usually the most basic spices that I use for anything. And then I add in some salt to season the fish and just give it maximum flavor as always. So you throw it up and down just to make sure that every fish is coated with seasoning, right? And then you move on to seasoning your flour, your sifted flour, with one bouillon cube. And then sometimes I add some salt and some white pepper, because authentic white pepper has some heat to it, and then it makes the fish nice, right? So you coat your fish, make sure that it's coated very well to prevent it from falling apart, and then you fry it in hot oil, very hot oil, because you're not cooking it through and through, right? It's just to kind of make the fish firm so that when it goes into the soup, it does not fall apart. It's already looking so yummy already. So in a pot, add in all your veggies. I had some cucumbers, tomatoes, carrots, onions, some turkey berries, very, very important. It's the star of the show, and some pepper. Use as much as you can tolerate. And then you have to add in some garden eggs, or you may need to add in some garden eggs to kind of thicken it up a bit more. That's if you want thick soup, right? Add in some water. Cover it up and let it boil, right? Make sure that you cook it till it's perfectly soft so that you can easily blend it. At this point, my fish is ready. It looks firm. It looks well done and crunchy on the outside. Just look at that. It's so golden brown. I absolutely love fried fish. I think that it's one of the tastiest proteins you would ever get, right? So I make sure that it's not so hard, right? It's quite soft on the inside as well, as you can see as I press it. So then we move on to checking in on our veggies, if it's completely done. And at this point, I think it's fine. It can be blended. So in a large pot, add in your salted beef or your cured beef, right? Usually it's called salted beef in Ghana. So you add in your beef. I didn't get the ones that I've really liked, but then you put it in a pan and then you blend your veggies. Make sure that you puree it to perfection, just so that the soup is smooth, because I'm not going to strain the blended veggies, so make sure that it's well done. So this is the stock of the veggies, and then I add in some fresh garlic to the blended vegetables to kind of bring in some kick, you know. At this point, I just add in some water. I forgot to film that part. I add in some water, make sure that it's quite light so that it can boil down, and then you'd still have a lighter consistency, because after a day the soup starts to thicken up because of the flour and the ingredients basically. So you add in a tablespoon of tomato puree. I usually don't like tomato puree in my soups, but I'm just kind of demonstrating it for you to see and know that you can actually use that. So I added more veggies because I wanted a bit more soup. So I added in some garden eggs, some tomatoes and onions, and a few bay leaves to kind of give it a nice aroma, right? Cover it up and let it boil. Make sure that it boils so well. It boils down. At this point, it was about 10 minutes boiled. So I took out my veggies and then I blended it and then I poured it back in. And I added in more water because, like I said, I wanted more soup. Just keep stirring to make sure that all the flavors marry, and then you cover it up halfway, and then you let it boil for a few minutes, about 5-6 minutes, and then you add in your fried fish. I usually am not a big fan of oil settling on top of soup, but if you want to boil your soup so that it goes a bit lower, or if you want to boil it down so that the oil will settle on top, that's absolutely fine. It really is a matter of preference, but we don't like that in my house. So I just let it boil so that the fish can soak up all the juices and the flavor of the soup, right? And yeah. At this point, I'm checking the consistency of the soup to make sure that it is to my taste or the way I like it. But please feel free to make sure that it boils down a little more just to kind of get the thickness that you'd want. And after that, I served it with some yummy fufu. Oh, the fufu was so soft. The soup was just perfect. This was for my father anyway. And at the end of towards the end of the soup, I added in some aubergines because we love them in my house. You can add that or any veggies that you would like in your soup. And so I added that in and it looks so yummy. My dad loved the soup. Like, he just couldn't stop talking about it. And that's his food, please. It's not mine. I have a small belly. And so I hope that you like it. Please try it and let me know. Thank you for watching.